Now that we have our property line defined, we need to think about how we're going to move our building around. And since we're going to make a square building, just to simplify the whole process, the math we have to do, we have to figure out how to take that rectangle that we're going to extrude and move it around this site, the parameter, drive it somehow. And we could use the translate mode, take a geometry and translate it, which would be fine. But there is another technique that will actually kind of simplify things, and that is to define it as a UV space, which means that I'll describe that better as we get to it, and then define a point on that space in order to define where the building will be. And then we just have to make some corrections to it to make sure that the building doesn't hang over the site, so to speak. So in order to get to that, the first thing we need to do is take our polyline and make it into a surface. So I'm going to right click here and get on the right screen. Surface by patch. We use this a lot, so one of those things that you can learn through repetition. So we'll plug in the patch, have it on automatic run, and now that takes that polyline and creates it into a surface. So you need a closed curve and you get a surface out of it. And now this is where now that we have that surface, we can go to geometry. So I'm over on the navigation bar right now, and under surfaces, I can go to surface. And if we go down far enough here, we're going to come to a point at a parameter. And this is a really powerful tool for this function, because this allows us to put that surface into a UV space. First of all, it'll define it as a UV space, which is akin to an XY space, except for the fact that when we're defining U and V, we're talking about axes that are over curvilinear surfaces. So whenever we're translating something over UV surfaces, it usually means that we're accepting that surface as being curvilinear or complex, not just a flat surface. So I'm going to plug the surface in, and I'm going to turn the surface by patch off because we really don't need that. And if I was to hit escape here and zoom out on this, we will see a little point down here at the very corner. And that's because the defaults for the UV are both 0, 0. So that's the 0, 0 point of that UV surface. Now I'm going to make some sliders here. So I'm going to go ahead so that we can change those values. So I'm going to go slider, a number slider, and I'm going to set these up so that they go from 0 to 1. And they can still go by units of 1/10 of an inch, so that's fine. And I hit 4, and I meant to hit 1. And actually, I'll just plug one of these in right now. And actually, let me just change the name of this. I'm going to change this. I'm going to rename this as U value, and I'll call it site U value. So we know that we're moving around the site, because these labels are going to show up later on when we start. That's my dyslexia. Site U value. And I'll close this off so it's smaller. And I'll just copy and paste one. And I'm going to rename it the V value. And then we'll just experiment quickly here. Let me rename it. And it's going to be the V. And accept that, and we'll plug that into the V. I'll zoom in so it might be a little clearer for you to see. And now if we actually back off of these sliders, let me put this as on automatic run. We should be able to see the motion of our little dot here. And so that's going to end up being, so we can move across the whole space left and right by going from 0 to 1 in UV space, and from 0 to 1 in the V space direction. So we can move our point wherever we want to on this within the boundaries that we've defined as the site parameters. And so you could see this could be a very complex site, and we could still stay within the boundaries of that UV space. So the next thing we'll look at is actually starting to turn this into an actual building footprint, so to speak, and then look at how we can make sure that when we bring this point all the way over to the edge, we don't get so close to the edge that the building hangs over beyond the property line.